Have you ever been mana screwed 'cause someone played Blood Moon? Or asked a combo player, do you have the win? Have you cracked a wooded foothills for a mountain? Have you played all 5 colors for a win? You may play your force of will, but you won't be skilled until you have played with all 5 colors for the win.
So, it's Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Name in the Wind? Is that what it is?
That's close to the...
Or Colors of the Wind. Colors of the Wind.
Yeah.
Colors of the Wind.
Bing,
There
ding,
we go.
ding.
Woo!
Wow,
Hello,
I fucked that
boobies.
up.
Actually, I was on the right thing.
Hello, boobies.
Got it right.
Woo!
And who was that from?
Oh, that's from AJ.
Nice.
He sent that to us about 2-3 hours ago.
Nice.
And I had it before, and then we talked, and
I'll tell you this. No, you did fine because you started singing it, and this is like behind the scenes because this is a second take. You made it like 3-4 words in, and I had no idea. And then when you restarted it, I was like, still don't know. And then you hit it, and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. But then I'm going to be really honest.
Done.
I didn't listen to any of the words at that point because I'm like, what is the song? What is the song? And so I stopped listening. So I'm going to hear the actual words when I am editing later.
Oh, it's good.
So,
it's a good song. AJ
want
should
to sing it
become
again?
like a songwriter for Miley Cyrus or something.
All right. Welcome to CommanderSmiths.
We are the CommanderSmiths.
I'm Adam Smith.
And I'm Lowery Smith.
Don't worry.
We're cousins.
We're cousins. Oh, whoa, same time.
No, was it? No, I don't
kind
think
of.
so. You're a little behind.
I'll make it the same time. That's what will happen. I'll do it on my end. You can do it on your
Production magic. I'm not going to do it.
This is episode 181, and that was Lowery Pocahontas doing oh, did we just get a boob shot
Just bring
there?
it down. I mean, you can.
Or is it a crotch shot? Oh, there we go.
I was just moving it down so it wasn't like straight up. Get more of my body.
keep. How's your swelling doing, Lowery?
We talking about my normal gut or the hornet sting?
Well, it depends on where you got stung because
It's like side
number
gut.
2. Okay.
It's like
I was
love
gonna say-
handle area, and I got like I'm a lopsided love handled guy right now.
How did
It's
that happen?
Okay, so we have my wife and Lowery were out trimming weeds away, and we have like there's a chain link fence that goes along our neighbor's yard, and then one that is like a fence to the backyard, and we have a bush in our corner. You know, and they were cutting away weeds from the corner part, and 2 wasps came out, hit Kirsten, hit the kid, and
Not stung, just hit them.
no, stung them both.
Oh, really?
And they came running in, and so I waited until night, and they were kind of buzzing around. But night or early morning is a good time to go and check out
they're
hornets because
resting
they're
or whatever.
less active. It was still pretty active, and it was dusk, like 8:30. And I kind of couldn't see because it's under a bush and between two fences. Kind of trimmed away so I could get a better idea. Saw them coming out, so I backed up like 6-7 feet, and one got me from behind. Like,
oh man,
yeah, it must have like been coming home or something. It landed backside of my haunch and just got me. And I was like, oh, and I am very probably allergic to them, and so I have very.
Good buddy.
It's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Because it's just like it's burns, it's itchy, painful. It's like a bruise, like raised bruise that's itchy.
Is it the wasp with the long legs, or is it the hornets?
It's a hornet. It was a hornet. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, those are
mean.
Those are bastards. I hate those guys.
And so like icing it. I took antihistamine, and like last year when I got stung on the arm, like the forearm, my whole arm up to the elbow and down to the hand just exploded. And then a week later I got gout. Not a good thing. And so like I have a theory that like my gout was triggered by the hornet sting. And so we'll see if like You won't hear about it next week because we're recording right after this.
Double cast
for
this
next week.
Yeah.
But I have a theory that I'm going to have like a gout flare up here in the next week.
You know how you should prove that theory?
I hope not.
By continuing to drink beer. What are you drinking there, Lowery?
Oh, it's a delicious piece of brew. It's from Modest Brewing. Double Up to Up, double dry hopped oat cream New England double IPA, and it is quite good.
Nice. Oh, I like that. I like the can there.
It's kind of like a little bit of 3D action going on. So I hope you put your glasses on. I was in
Wisconsin, so I got New Glarus. New Glarus is a good brewery. I like to get that because you can only get it in Wisconsin. Spotted Cow is so good. Spotted Cow is what I got here.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have time, I also have, let's get that out of there. Probably will. Kid Klosh? New Glarus? I don't know.
Kolsch. It's a Kid Kolsch.
Kolsch? Is that what it is?
Kolsch? Oh, Kid. I get it.
It's a Kolsch.
It's
because a kid is the... What's a Kolsch?
A goat.
Is it? Oh. So
Kolsch is just a style of beer, kind of like Germanic.
Gotcha. So that, if we make it to that, which we probably will, it's going to be a longer night episode. Next week's episode might be interesting because I'll be about 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 or 5 beers deep. So it'll be nice. So really quick before we get to the episode stuff. So the reason why I was in Wisconsin is we brought the boys to the Foo Fighters concert. And I forgot to mention that last week. So 4 and 6, Foo Fighters concert in Milwaukee, because I kind of figured out, I think why they picked Milwaukee is it's an outdoor stadium. And then they went to Cincinnati the night or a couple nights before, and that's an outdoor stadium. And they were just at that fucking huge concert in Lollapalooza, the Chicago Lollapalooza thing.
Okay.
Where there's just thousands and thousands of people, but that's an outdoor thing. So I think they're hitting up all the outdoor stuff, COVID-wise. So
I mean, makes sense.
Yeah, they weren't coming to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Actually, it'd be St. Paul. They normally go to XL anytime soon. So we're like, all right, we're bringing them down there. Dude, they had the best time of their life. They got so much attention because they were the youngest kids there. We saw probably 3 other kids that were Drake's age, but none of them that were Zeke's age. And when that concert started, they were just in awe, just looking at everybody like, holy shit, everybody's like singing along and like whatever. And
that's
so
awesome.
Sweet. They made it till about 11 o'clock and then, kind of got tired. So we started walking back. So we missed the last like 5 or 6 songs. But then the next day we went to Wisconsin Dells, which was a blast. And it was the same place that we went. We stayed at Kalahari, which is where we went for my dad and Rennie, our uncle's 60th years ago.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Oh, you didn't go?
No.
Oh, no. Beck was there.
Yeah, we skipped out because that was we just found out that we were pregnant with Lowery. And then it was just kind of like, well, we can go and like, no, we're not drinking. No, but we, it's too early to tell people at that point. So we just didn't go.
Yeah. So sweet venue. Inside, outside, all that. It was
Kalahari's
pretty cool.
Bomb.
Boys did like the body surfing thing on the boogie boards. I was impressed that Zeke did it. Like the dude, for how shy he is, he has no fear with that water stuff. Like he wanted to go down these straight down water slides, but they won't let you until you're 52 inches tall or something like that. But one really sad thing I found out is that Cindy has longer arms than I do.
Oh.
Which was really depressing. We were eating lunch.
Depressing?
I don't know, because I'm like 4 inches taller than she is, and all of a sudden her wingspan is about 2 inches longer than me. I was just like, God damn it, why aren't you better at volleyball?
I hope for the rest of the trip at least. She was like, hey, could you hand me that? Never mind, I can probably get it.
That would have been perfect. She knows she didn't pull up that because I was kind of like, what the fuck? Because so we were eating lunch one of the days, and they had like behind where Cindy was sitting, like because it's supposed to be jungle themed, and so they had like a chimpanzee and orangutan with their arms stretched out, and a gorilla, and so the orangutan is 6 feet across, which your height is supposed to be your arm stretch. So I should have been able to do that. And so Cindy did it first, and she was really close. I was like, watch this. And I get up there, and I'm like, I can't reach as far as you did. And so we actually did like a test. Like Drake put his fingers up next to where mine went, and then Cindy was like 2 inches further than my hand.
That's
so it was
awesome.
A little depressing. But yeah.
I mean, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I feel
she just gives better hugs.
Yeah, I can't reach around. I'm like T-Rex arms.
Oh boy.
So yeah, that was my weekend. It was pretty sweet. You got stung by hornets. Your family got stung by hornets. Did you get the bastards? Did you finally get the bastards?
No, not yet.
Because
it just happened yesterday, like 24 hours ago. And
so
I was going to wait.
Underground, or is there
think
like a
so.
nest?
It's hard to see.
Okay.
So it's probably not on the ground. You know what I mean? Normally they would burrow or hide under eaves or whatever they think is safe. So I would assume that they're in a hole. I kind of sprayed the area, but like everywhere. More like, you sons of guns, how dare you? And then went in and cried and iced up. And so
the GIFs that came out of that on Discord were pretty awesome. I like the one that I came up with. I was like, oh, this is going to be you at the podcast. It was just freaking swollen up.
Sausage fingers.
What are we doing on today's podcast? Now that we are 12 minutes in, people are wondering what is going on today and kind of tomorrow. Well, no, not tomorrow.
Kind of tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to do underplayed cards. We haven't done it in 6 months. And
woo!
I appreciate you finding something for us to do this week.
Yeah, I know. We got done with all our Salty 64 and then all that other stuff. I was like, what do we do now? We don't have anything like planned.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we each picked 5.
Yes.
Sorry,
cards. Burp.
I got burped.
5 underplay cards. Originally, we had kind of talked about like 5,000 or less. Like when we first did it way back in the day when we first came up with this and all that stuff. This week it's under 1,000, right? Each of us have under 1,000. All of ours.
I have 4 that are under 1,000, and then 1 that is under 4,000. But I still think it's a card that I want to say like consider it more because it's super super good.
Cool.
So it's like it should be in like 15,000 decks in my mind.
Yeah. So, a lot of these like all of mine on this week's is old cards. And that's the reason why they're not in a lot of decks. My next week, which we will continue this next week as another little segment. Those are a little bit higher. But then we're also what kind of landed on our lap was, well, everybody kind of knows if you're in the arena stuff, the Jumpstart Historic Horizons cards, which doesn't really affect us at all. But there was an interesting. You put your finger up. What's up?
I'm just.
Oh, gotcha.
Don't worry about it.
There's an interesting thing to those where there's an ability, a mechanic that makes us feel like, why can't we use this with real Magic cards? Mm-hmm. Kind of getting around the reserve list in a bit, and we'll kind of discuss that. The example is they are conjuring Tropical Island, and we've had Garth, and so we're kind of like going to discuss how. And
we've had Garth for so long now that it's been at least a month.
Which is forever because they're already going to start spoiling the next set. Like that's how it works.
Yeah.
So that's kind of on today. We have the Stump the Smith Savant with some new rules, but we'll get to that in a bit. Maybe we just get to the episode since we have 2 of them to do tonight. So
let's do it.
You guys can support the show by joining Patreon and giving us $1 or more. $1 gets you into Discord, allows you to play games with people, chat with us on Discord, and I have to like not look at you while I'm doing this because it's just super distracting, but it's pretty funny if you're watching on YouTube. Okay, so $1 or more gets you on the Discord. It does not get you proxies, but if you get $5 or more, it gets you into the Proxy of the Week. Each month you'll get to pick from the Proxy of the Week that month and the previous month. Or like last month, we'll do every 6 months is you get to pick your Proxy month. The other way is if you're $100 or more, lifetime subscriber.
So far.
You can do pick your proxy every month. So you can pick any proxy from the Proxy of the Week each month that you are a patron. The free way to support the show is to jump on YouTube and like and subscribe to our stuff. subscribe first, then check out our videos, like Lowery's Curated MTG, which was
Fanatical Devotion. See this? I remembered this time.
Good job. Good job.
It's a cool enchantment that helps protect your commander or any other creature on board, but you got to sacrifice a creature. It regenerates them. Check out the video.
Yeah, it's another card that I saw. I saw the picture and I was like, "What the f*** is that card?" And then it's another unique card that I've never seen before.
So yeah, curated ends up being like cards that I think should see more play. It's a little bit like the next two episodes.
Underused. It's our underused stuff.
Yeah. And so I put a pompous word on it to make it seem more cool, but it's not. It's just underplayed cards essentially.
Speaking of one of my underused cards in this week's episode is one that was a curated MTG card. So there's that for you. The other part of it is a free sack outlet, which is also pretty sweet on that. Mm-hmm. Not only protection there, but so check out that. But the best way to support that is when you watch the video, like it. Just like our videos. Just go on there and like it. That's all you got to do. We want you to subscribe, but then we also want you to like. You can also check out Proxy of the Week. I do Proxy Time live. I think Sundays are now going to be my day to do it. I don't know. Summer's insane. Like, we just vacations and whatever, everybody being out of town and stuff like that. And then the weekdays are full of whatever. Our podcast stuff, getting things ready. So I think Sundays are going to be the day to do it. Last week's Proxy of the Week which was just yesterday, Sunday, which now you're listening to this. It depends, whatever.
Wednesday.
Was our number one card from last week, which is Treasure Vault, and I did 3 different alt arts of that. All 3 were Dungeons and Dragons related, and then the last one included the from the Discord mentioned a Dungeons and Dragons booklet, the handbook or whatever. So that was interesting, kind of figuring out how to work all that out. So you can check that out. Again, like and subscribe, all that stuff. And then you can check out the podcast here. You can see our face. You can see Lowery's mime work on that for YouTube. You can also check out Twitter, which is where you'll see, what do we call it? Hashtag MTG Switcheroo, because Lowery, you did that last week.
I did it.
Perfect. Yeah. So
I'm just going to add it. I'm not going to do it every time. I'm just going to put it at like the front from now on when I start that.
MTG Switcheroo. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not going to put it on every... I'll put it on every post.
So you can see that where you're kind of switching in and out cards for decks. You can also see Card Sphere cards. You can see Mail Day, all that stuff on there. Not sharing with Adam. And then also is where we post a lot of the podcast stuff. You can also direct message us there, or you can shoot us an email at CommanderSmiths@gmail.com. All right, so that is everything there. I think before we get to, do we want... I'm just trying to decide if I do the rule explain the new thing we're doing for Stump the Smith Savant now or after I press the button.
Now.
Okay. So really quick, new Stump the Smith Savant rules, or a way we're getting you guys involved to win some prizes here. We're going to give you a chance to... We've been getting listener ones. I haven't even done my own Stump the Smith Savant, and I don't even know how long, because everybody keeps giving some, which is awesome. That's what we wanted. And so, but we're getting a bunch of different people. I mean, it's probably the same 3 people recycled over and over again, because they're participating with it, which is great. But we want to give the opportunity that people can win prizes if you can actually stump Larry the Smith Savant. So here is the plan, and we may change things as we go along, and this isn't going to take place for another 2 weeks, but we're kind of getting you ramped up for it. But if you are able to stump Lowery, we are going to have what would you call it? Like a continuous pot going? Not marijuana, but we're going to pick a card, which... Oh,
not marijuana?
Not me.
Okay.
We can't do that yet in Minnesota.
No, we can't. We just call up Julio Jones and Roddy White.
Yeah. So
they sold pot on the black market.
We will start with Treasure Vault as our card that we're going to give away if you can stump Lowery.
Yeah.
Every 4 weeks that he isn't stumped, we will add another card onto the pot, the ante. Oh, back in the day, ante. So if it goes 5 weeks and you haven't stumped Lowery, you'll get Treasure Vault and another card, and we'll announce that at that time. So here is the rules for it, though. The card you send to me, send via email or direct message, but make sure that Lowery cannot see it. So if you're a part of the Discord, shoot me a Discord message like a lot of you have been doing. If you aren't a part of the Discord, shoot us an email at the CommanderSmiths@gmail.com or on Twitter.
And header it for Adam.
For Adam's eyes only, for Adam something, so Lowery isn't going to open it accidentally.
And then like click, 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 or return, like make it so that I can't read the beginning.
Right.
Because that shit pops up on my phone.
Yeah, and then you could just see the first couple. But if you give enough enter spots, if you're not direct messaging me, that's the way to do it. So the other stipulation.
And not on Twitter. Don't, because I see on Twitter.
Oh, you do?
I see the messages on Twitter.
See, we're working this out.
Just saying. Here. Yeah, don't.
So don't do it on Twitter. Shoot us an email. Shoot us an email for Adam's Eyes only, and then with your Stump the Smith Savant thing. Okay. Card has to be in 5,000 EDH rec decks or more. Can be rare, whatever. We're just saying it has to be in 5,000 or more, so it's a played card. You can either give me 2 clues, or I can make them up myself, but I'm at least going to have 1 clue I get to give for Lowery. He's going to have a total of 3 clues that can be given in this, and he only gets 5 wrong guesses. So if he guesses 5 wrong, you have stumped the Smith Savant. That's basically it, the 5 there, and he only gets the 3 clues. And then what else did we have in there? Oh, what we had kind of talked about before. If Lowery gets like everything that the card does, he's like, it's this, this, and that, and it's casting cost this and that and that. If I still have my clue left to give, I will give the initials of it. So that's kind of like a little thing there. That's kind of our little stipulation.
Yeah. Because I got it in my head. I just can't like tip of the tongue thing. And it's not, I got it. And so you didn't really win unless I can't get the initials.
Right. So that's it there. So all you need to do is you can just send me the card and just say, you make up the clues. You probably have a better chance if now you can't give me clues that have nothing to do with it. So I'll kind of, I can adjust the clues as they go. So I might not necessarily pick that, like the exact wording that you have there. I'll make it so it fits better. So Lowery has a chance. The other part of it is
literally stabbing someone in the back.
The other part is each Sunday on the Proxy Time live video, at the end, I will do a drawing for the people that have entered for that week or previous weeks. I'll just keep a continuous drawing. So if you've entered, I will keep your name in there until it gets drawn. So that way we aren't having the same person keep entering. It's just basically going to be their prize eventually. Mm-hmm. So that's keeping it random. And then if you enter in 10 different ones, your name's only getting in there once. So we're just making it that way. But if I draw your name, you at that point can be like, I want you to use this card as the one that, whatever, for Stump the Smith Savant. So there it is. Stump the Smith Savant is going to be potential prizes and bigger prizes.
It is no longer whose line is it anyway style, where the points do now matter. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that none of you get our cards.
Yeah, because then we have to actually buy them. I'm not going to buy them until you guys get it. No, I'm just all right, so that is the rules. We're going to attempt this right now. This doesn't count, but this is going to, this will be the test run for the next 2 weeks. All right, here we go. It's time for everyone's favorite game show, Stump the Smith Savant. All right, if you don't know how this game works, I'm just kidding. Well, kind of. I'm going to read the flavor text of a card. Lowry's going to try to guess the card. He's only getting 3 clues. He only gets 5 guesses. You're already done with the beer. And that's it. We're going to try to stump the Smith Savant by reading the flavor text of a card. If he guesses, he asks yes or no questions. If he gets a yes, he will hear this.
Hello, boobies.
If he gets a wrong, he hears this.
Wrong, 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 wrong.
And points don't matter, but really, this is what we're doing now. I got to change how I do all that stuff. I don't know what I'm going to say there now. So, this one comes from Ted this week from our Discord. And here we go. Marholt Elsdragon follows a strict philosophy, never letting emotions cloud his thoughts. No chance observer could imagine the rage in his heart.
Can you repeat that? Because that's going to be fucking hard.
Marholt Elsdragon follows a strict philosophy, never letting emotions cloud his thoughts. No chance observer could imagine the rage in his heart.
None of those words like give me a Mars, Hell,
Marholt.
Dragon,
Marholt
It doesn't-
Elsdragon.
Elsdragon?
Elsdragon.
This is
Eldragon. Elsdragon. Right? Elsdragon. That's how I'd say it. Follows a strict philosophy, never letting emotions cloud his thoughts. No chance observer could imagine the rage in his heart.
Oh, I am so okay, so controlling one's emotion would probably be either blue or white. You know, because like red is rage, so maybe it could be red white. Somewhere in that range. But like none of those words make any sense. So I feel like it's super new. Like, is it from the D&D set here?
Wrong.
One wrong.
Yeah, that's true. Fuck. This is gonna be hard. Okay. This is gonna be a wider question. Is at least one of the colors red, blue, or white?
Hello, boobies.
Okay, so it's in that range. God, repeat that, please.
Marholt follows a strict philosophy, never letting emotion cloud his thoughts. No chance observer could imagine the rage in his heart. I just changed the additions and it kept out the Elsdragon. So it's Marholt Elsdragon follows a strict philosophy, never letting his emotions cloud his thoughts. No chance observer could imagine the rage in his heart. That's funny that between an addition it could just cut out a word completely.
Okay, so that tells me that it has at least 2 printings.
Are you asking that?
Well, I mean, you just said it. So
Hello, boobies.
I just want to say hello, boobies. That's all.
at least 2. See, and this. Okay, so is this printed before this? This was printed before Time Spiral.
Hello, boobies.
Okay, so this is really fucking old. Dragons were. This it's so random that it makes me feel like it's in the first sets, like Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised, because it's just random. The rage in its heart. I mean, it could be Legends because you had those, but there's so many words there that I don't think they have much for flavor text. Holy shit. I'll take a clue.
All right, I'll give you kind of 2 in this. This is a Mark Poole art, and
So it is really fucking old.
in the online version, or the updated version, it is an elf warrior, whereas everywhere else it just says legend.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Elf Warrior. It's a legend?
Mm-hmm. Or
Hello, boobies.
I gave you.
Yeah, I mean, that was
kidding,
you.
hello, boobies.
That was just... Okay, so that helps me out, I think, a ton. Is this card from Tempest?
Wrong.
So that's 2 wrong?
2 wrong.
It's a legendary elf warrior. I mean, like, I'd say Eldamari, Lord of Leaves, but pretty sure that was Tempest.
Marhalt L's Dragon follows a strict philosophy, never letting emotions cloud his thoughts. No chance observer could imagine the rage in his heart.
So Mark Poole, he's having the Secret Lair out, and he has like the original
Counterspell,
Birds of Paradise, Howling Mine,
and new art for Balance, and Brainstorm, was it? Was it Brainstorm? Something like that.
So, okay. Mark Poole, but I don't know his extensive library, I would bet. I don't know that.
Yeah, so I gave you the Elf Warrior and Legend thing.
Well, because Legend isn't a creature type.
Right.
So, but that also tells me
that it's old.
That it's old, and it has what you're saying is an online printing that has updated its wording. But holy shit. I'll take
another clue.
Yeah, I'll take another clue.
In the flavor text, there is probably the biggest hint you will ever get for a card.
God damn it. I have fully missed it then. Could you reread the flavor text, please?
Marhalt L's Dragon follows a strict philosophy, never letting his motions cloud his thoughts. I'm giving it away. No chance observer could imagine the rage in his heart.
L's Dragon, clearly. But that doesn't mean anything.
We're running out of time now.
I know.
Marhalt L's Dragon follows.
L's, is that one word, hyphenated, 2 words?
Just one word.
L's Dragon. Am I saying it right? ELSDRAGON. It doesn't mean anything to me.
It's the name of the card. Marhalt L's Dragon is the name of the card.
I don't recognize that at all.
That's the check it up. Just do a search. When you see the name Marhalt, Marhault, L's Dragon. When you see he's a 4/6 Rampage 1.
I don't believe you, but maybe. Yeah.
He's a red green elf. Marhault.
Nope. Sorry, let's redo that. What is it?
Marhault.
T.
You've seen him before.
Yeah. All right. That is a card. Fuck.
Ted thought it would be funny.
Way.
Ted thought it'd be funny. He's like, it'd be funny because it has the name of the card in it as the beginning. It's like, there's no way he's gonna guess that. I was like,
no.
We'll see. I thought you'd just be like, is it Mar? Because you have no idea who it is. Marhalt?
Yeah, that was just like gibberish to me. Fuck, that was tough. Nice
Ted,
job,
you
Ted.
win treasure vault. No, I'm just kidding. That's not when we started this yet. But,
nope.
That wouldn't be how I do it there. I wouldn't have told you that part. I probably would have gone into giving you either it was from Legends or that it had Rampage or something like that if we were actually playing this for all the wins. All right, so that was CommanderSmiths of it.
Well, it wouldn't have been on the list because it's not in 5,000 decks. But
that's a good point too. But it was funny.
I see. I would have guessed one of the Elder Dragons. I wouldn't have guessed that.
That's a good point. Yeah, if I put it in Legends, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I have no opener for
Hard
this.
Rock.
Hard Rock. All right, I gotta bring it down.
Oh, thank you.
Underplayed cards.
So angry.
Why does he have to
I feel like we
scream?
should always follow that up with the angelic harp.
Oh, I got rid of it.
Oh, because we never used it? All right.
This is what I put in its place. Our
Makes
stalling button.
It's very circus-like.
Yeah. All right.
Much like our podcast.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, what we are going over this for underplayed cards is just basically cards that are under 5,000, whatever. These are going to be a lot less than 5,000. EDH rec decks and cards that we think you guys should be playing with. We did this about 6 months ago. And yeah, so Lowery, why don't you start us off with your first card that you want to talk about? So we each picked out 5 here.
Okay. So first one I'm going to go with is Isolation Cell. It is 4 colorless artifact from New Phyrexia. Whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, that player loses 2 life unless he or she pays 2.
2
colorless mana. This is in 894 decks. And I kind of found this bad boy when I was digging around for Oscar ideas. I think this would be really cool in a lot of those taxing style decks where you're trying to slow down opponents or ping them like a Mogus.
Bogus, yeah. That's what
I was thinking like if I make 2 or 3 of these in Oscar, and
that gets brutal because you're taking 4, 6, or paying 6.
Yeah. So I feel like this has a lot of potential for only being in 894 decks.
Yeah.
I think this is something that's looked over in those taxing / damage style decks. And think about if you have a Panharmonicon with this, it would trigger twice.
Ooh.
No, there's a cast. So whenever an opponent casts, so that doesn't. Yeah. Oh man, if it was ETB, then it hits tokens and stuff. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
but whenever you cast a creature, the card seems really cool. I've only kind of just rediscovered it the last 2 months.
You can also be a huge dick and be a blue player and let them cast it, and then counter their creature spell.
Pay the 2, or take the 2 damage. And then
go counterspell. Yeah, because it's on the cast trigger.
Yep.
Well, this seems interesting. Another card that I haven't seen ever. Gosh, Larry, your curated has just got you on these cards that I don't even know about.
I dig deep.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
what
I
do you got?
That card. All right. My first one, and kind of how I go about this is I go and I open up all my binders, my toolbox stuff, and I'm like, okay, what cards do I think are kind of cool that would actually might need to see some more play? And what I'll do is oh, this card looks sweet. How many decks is it? And that's how I kind of go about this. So the first one I came across out of when we started doing this all over again, because I couldn't find my old list, by the way. Did you still have your old list from that, or did you have to?
I have thrown away every note that we after every episode.
Light it on fire, and wipe your ass.
Won't remember that in 2 weeks.
So I picked Hunting Grounds. Now this is this is an enchantment. It's 1 green and 1 white. It has Threshold. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may put a creature card from your hand into play. So that's pretty sweet. So if you're playing, it's a creature deck. You're playing with green, potentially with white stuff there. If you get enough fetch lands in your graveyard, you get halfway through a commander game and you have over, really quick.
Yeah. Threshold is 7 or more in your
7
graveyard.
or more. So if you're playing fetch lands like you should be, or anything that you're searching for stuff or your stuff gets killed, this is just perfect for playing your creatures on other people's turns as they cast. And it's also cast whenever an opponent casts a creature spell. Yep. So you can put a creature from your hand. So this is a good way to cheat out those big fatties. And this is only in 655 EDH rec decks.
Wow.
So I was kind of surprised.
I would not have guessed that. Yeah, because it feels like a different version of Lurking Predators, of whenever your opponent casts a spell, you reveal a top card. If it's a creature, put it into play. And I dig the card quite a bit, so I'm glad that I did not realize that it was in that little amount of decks. And it's a couple bucks at least, like $5.
Yeah, it's on Scryfall, and I don't remember, but they have it at 14, which it's probably
that's going up quite a bit.
And that's not a reserve list card, is it? It's just an old card, is what it is.
Yeah, just an older card.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool though.
What is your next one, Lau?
I'm gonna go with Spike Cannibal. It is a spike, clearly from Exodus, and it's one colorless black. And when it comes into play with one counter, and then when it comes into play, move all +1/+1 counters from all creatures onto Spike Cannibal.
Oh, so it takes from other people's stuff too, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Ooh.
And this is only in 63 decks.
Well, you win for the lowest amount of decks because my last one is 95, so you win. By the way, I cracked that beer that I talked about before.
Oh.
All right. Go ahead. So 63 decks. At first, when you were reading this, I was like, this seems really bad because you're taking all your count. And then I was like, oh.
All of them. So this is more of a hate card in my mind. You don't want to put this in something that you like a deck where you have a lot of 1/1 counters on it. But I think just in general, you're going to be able to pull +1/+1 counters from at least one player, if not two.
If you're playing a bunch against Cathar's Crusade players or something like that, this would be fantastic.
Just think it's just killer. Like 3 mana for like a 15/15 potentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a great value card that, again, I don't know if it needs to be over 5,000, but I think it needs to be over 63.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying is it's a really cool card. It's there's a black card that removes all counters from everything. It's probably in that vein where it's it kind of sucks because you're pulling +1/+1 counters from your stuff or your planeswalkers or whatever you got going on. But if you put it in the right deck, I think this could just be a huge beater.
Well, if you're able to sack it, you're playing with, was it the Ozolith that allows you, when your creatures die, you put all the counters on that and then moving that around. So you could steal all of everybody's counters and then have a way to sack this and then move it on to something else that's even better.
That's a pretty cool idea.
This seems pretty sweet. Again, 2 for 2, Lowery. I've not seen that card before, and I dig that quite a bit. All right, my next card is Hammer Mage. I've talked about this card before. I think because of the foils I spec'd on a while back. But this is a colorless and a red for a 1/1.
We were recording in your basement the last time we talked about this card.
Is that really? That's crazy.
We were.
That's crazy. So 1 colorless, 1 red for a Spell Shaper is a 1/1. The cool thing about this guy is it's 1 red and X, and you can tap it. Discard a card from your hand. So late game, just discard a land from your hand. Destroy all artifacts with converted mana cost X or less. So it's a great way to remove everybody's mana rocks. Problem is you're going to hit your own stuff as well. But if you're playing with this card, you probably have a plan with your cards, or maybe it fits in with your Oscar deck kind of thing. But that might hurt it too because your tokens.
It would definitely hurt it.
Yeah, it's wait, never mind.
This one is I remember you talking about this, and so it is something that I keep in the back of my mind. But it's definitely not one that I've put into the rotation to look at more often.
The hard
because
part is it's red and you play artifacts. That's the hard part. So,
and in red, your signets, your talismans, all of that is so important unless you're in a red-green deck. So maybe that's where you go with it.
I guess this could be a good one. I wish it was a dwarf. It looks like a dwarf. It would have been perfect in my not dwarf. No, I didn't want that. I was thinking Daryl. This would have been pretty nice, and it might be nice in Daryl because I don't play a lot of
artifacts. You got your sorceries that put lands into play. You don't need the artifacts.
Yeah.
And so that's where I see it working better.
Yeah.
How many decks is this in?
Hammer Mage is 254.
Yeah, that's pretty low though too.
Yeah.
I would say that.
And it's from, what was it? Mercadian Mask. So it's a really old set again. Hunting Grounds was, what was that from? Judgment. And yours was
Exodus and New Phyrexia for the isolation. So,
all right, what is your next one, Lowery?
Gonna go with Tunnel Ignis. Is
that
I keep on calling it an Ingus. Yeah, Tunnel Ingus. Come on, that sounds dirty, right? Tunnel Ingus.
Wait, can I do a side note really quick? Do you remember us playing Scribbleish
Yeah.
And we were playing with what's his name? Your buddy, who plays
Shay.
Diablo. Shay. And he had analingus, and he had sent it to, like, how Scribblish works, if you guys don't know, it's you take note cards and you write a phrase, and then it's like telephone but with note cards, and then you pass it, the next person has to draw a picture. So he gave me analingus with something, and so I just wrote, I wrote like a butthole, and it was in Gus, and that's anal ing. This is really dumb. Okay, sorry. Go back to your. What is it? It's tunnel ingus.
Tunnel Ignis.
Is this all one word? Why am I not being able to find this? You had trouble.
It's
when we were looking
two.
at...
Tunnel Ignis. Ignus. If you type that in, you'll Ignis.
Oh,
Okay,
that guy. That little.
Yeah. So this
He's
is from
elemental.
Yeah, Scars of Mirrodin, colorless red elemental. Whenever land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had another land enter the battlefield under their control, this turn, Tunnel Ignis deals 3 damage to that player.
Okay.
And so
this is hitting those landfall decks down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And this is in 375 decks. People love Zozu the Punisher, Ankh of Mishra. This should be right in there next to him. Just think, okay, so you have like those, let's say somebody goes land,
Fetch
and
land.
then, fetch land, deals them 3 damage. Or you
4.
have,
because they're
What's that?
searching for it. It's doing 4
that's true.
because they're
Yeah,
paying
yeah,
1
yeah.
to go get it. Yeah, that gets a little brutal there.
but also you can, so if you have those spells that put 2 lands into play, they both recognize each other, and it'd be 6.
Oh man.
And so, like, if you get something, that's why I run it in Kenrith, and I do New Frontiers. Everybody goes and searches for X basic lands and put them into play. If they want to, like, if it's X is like 4, they take 12 if they want to go get it. They could choose not to, but I get 4 land for free, and I do as much as I can.
Because it does say under an opponent's control. It does not affect you, which is really nice.
Yep. So it's a really, really cool card. I think it's a great hate card for those land ramp decks, which there's plenty of them. And for 375 decks like that, this is criminally underplayed in my opinion.
Yeah, I dig it. Yeah, because I love that it's not affecting you with that as well. I mean, even in our play group, we play with so many fetches that this is going to affect all of us. So
yeah, the person just has to wait until it say go and not use that land. That's pretty much what it ends up or you just take the 3.
yeah. All right, my next one was a curated MTG card, and that link will be connected to the YouTube video if you want to check that one out. It is Glory, and you did this one a couple months ago, but this is 3 and 2 white. We had spec'd on this one a while back because of the foils and the judge foils, which was in, what is it, in Greek or something like that? What is it?
Hebrew.
So this is an Incarnation. It is a 3/3 flying. But it's tap 2 and a white. Creatures you control gain protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Play this ability only if Glory is in your graveyard. So it's like your Anger, it's like your Filth, where you want this in your graveyard, but then it gives your creatures protection. And the thing is this is kind of tricky because your opponents might not realize it's necessarily there, or they forget that it's even in there, and so they're like, all right, I am going to kill your whatever, and you're like, tap 2 and 1 white, all my creatures gain protection from this or that color. Or you're going to just run through a player because you're giving all your creatures. It's not just one creature, it's all your creatures gain that protection.
Yeah.
This is only in 576 decks, which I'm really surprised at, but it really has only caught that one printing, right? We have the Judgment.
Yeah, the one.
Yeah. So the other ones have caught more of a print. Anger's been printed a couple times. I don't know if Filth has been printed that much. But this is with protection built in if it's in your graveyard. Even if it isn't, it's a 3/3 flyer for 5. That's not great, but that's still a little bit of a threat,
They don't want it to go to the graveyard. Like, if you ever play Anger, like actually have to cast it as gotta get something out there, people are like, well, I don't really want you to block and kill it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want Anger or Glory in your graveyard.
Right.
And so I think I think the card's great. I will admittedly say I love the card, but I don't think I've ever actually played it.
Yeah, I know I put it in a deck at some point, but I don't know if it's currently in a deck.
Yeah, it's definitely currently not in a deck.
I don't know when the last time I built a white deck is, though. I think it might have been Tesa, like our first couple of years that we did this. Yep. So I think that's my last white deck. So, but I think it should be played more than 576 decks. Like, this is just built-in protection on your creatures, especially if you have a deck that you're throwing stuff into your graveyard easily. This is something you definitely want to include if you're playing white. All right, what is your second to last card there, Larry?
It was an all-star in the game that I played against you with Oscar. Leonin Elder.
Yeah.
1 white, 1/1 cat cleric. Whenever an artifact comes into play, you may gain 1 life. Now, this is whenever an artifact comes into play, not just for you, everybody.
Yeah.
And it's super cheap. Can go in, those cat decks. Everybody loves their cats. And you're going to gain life off of this.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal because I was making treasures. And
you were playing Magda. Yep. And I had searched the premises. So you're like, attack with my dwarves and then create these treasures. And I was like, well, how many? Okay, I gained 5 life. And then you attacked me with 3 of those creatures. I gained 3 life off the clue tokens from that. So maybe I'm biased right now because I had such a good thing going on with it. But I feel like if you're in a white artifact deck, you're going to gain enough life off of it for the value. And it's only in 327 decks. And that's so it just seems really low. The Soul Sister style cards gain you a lot of life.
Yeah. And the thing is and this is going to kind of tie into my next card, but artifacts are being played a lot more. They just made the artifact dual lands. They, Treasure Vault, which we talked about from last week and this week from the Proxy of the Week. They continue to make more and more artifact lands, so this is going to count for that as well. People play mono. Like, this is just going to gain you life.
More and more cards create treasures. More and more cards create clues. Artifacts are becoming even more and more just all the time.
And like we have talked about, we love treasures. Like that is, and I'm glad that they expanded it to all the colors, especially
green.
Damn it. What is his name? Oh,
Gnawbone.
Gnawbone. Got to buy that card still. Just wait for the price to drop a little bit.
I'm gonna admit that sounds like a dirty card.
Old Gnawbone. Just a chick gnawing on a bone. All right. Okay. Went too far with that one. All right. So I dig this card because it also, how many decks did you say it was in?
327.
I got you beat with, but it didn't beat your other one. Another card that is just like this in Artifacts, Power Leech, is only a 95 EDH rec decks.
Wow.
It's a double green enchantment, but this one is gain 1 life for when one of your opponent's artifacts becomes tapped, or whenever they activate an ability without tapping its activation, you gain a life as well. So this is kind of similar to what you were saying. Yours is more.
It's a reserve list.
Yeah, that is one issue.
Throw that out there because it's like $25. I was just looking at it.
Yeah, it's around that price range. It did get up there around 40 or 50 at one point. Now we're kind of back down on that. Reserve list is down a little bit, but it keeps plateauing, going up, down, whatever. I haven't personally used this yet. This doesn't fit in a deck that you're playing artifacts, which kind of fits with green a little bit, I guess. You could just play this to gain life, but I would play it more with a gain life type of deck. But you think of how much life you're going to gain in just a turn coming around to you. Everybody's playing mono rocks, and like I mentioned before with your card, the Leonin, everybody's playing, not everybody, but there's a lot of artifact lands out there. I just think there's a lot of potential for this card.
Yeah, and I'm currently, I don't know if we're ever going to talk about this, but I'm building Terra Lessa Moon Dancer from the D&D set right now. And
which one is that?
So it's whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on it and scry 1.
Oh, okay.
And so just got a lot of life gain triggers. and this and Power Leech, or Leonin Elder and Power Leech were both going to be in it. They both just kind of got cut. I still got I got like 13 still to cut. So it's more about like creatures ETBing, and we'll see. It's one of my, I'm trying to make it the more simple deck to like share with new players.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to have so many goddamn triggers and things going on that it's not going to work.
Complicated.
Yeah. So we'll see about it. But I do think they're both like should be considered more often than 95 and 370 and 27.
Yeah, those two together in that deck would be pretty damn sweet.
If I was playing more artifacts in it, I would agree.
Yeah.
Like I think that's where it's just kind of like when it pairs with green, I'm just not running the artifacts like to in the deck currently. It's more of like static abilities happening instead of activated abilities.
Gotcha.
So, hold on. Does Power Leech work for you?
No, it's opponents. That's the only problem. Yeah.
All right.
So
that
that's
just
why
about blew my mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't. Yeah, that's the one problem is it's opponents. So you don't really build a deck around this. It's more of you're trying to gain life.
So like if you were running a green deck that ran like Mycosynth Lattice, then whenever they tap a land, you gain a life. That'd be sweet.
Ooh, that'd be pretty fantastic.
But what just was blowing my mind was if it was you and you had Lightning Greaves, you just like move, activate it for 0, gain a life, and just back and forth for. That would have been sweet, but that is not the case. Maybe that could be politics where you like talk to one of your buddies at the table and be like, you just move that around a couple hundred times.
Yeah, that's all right. Just get me up there. Well, let's get to 1 million. That'd be fine. We'll just go back and forth, back and forth.
Shortcut.
All right, your number one, not your number one, but your last card on the list.
Last card.
Of the underused cards.
So this one is my high one. It's in 3,446 decks on EDH Rec.
Whoa, settle down there.
What?
No, I was just saying it's high. It's
high for what I was doing, yeah. But I do want to stress, and it's fairly new, from Zendikar Rising. But it's Confounding Conundrum, colorless blue enchantment. When it ETBs, draw a card. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, if that player had a land enter the battlefield under the control this turn, they return a land they control to its owner's hand. So kind of similar to the Tunnelingus, where it has those like lands come into play as land hate and it slows down those ramp players. But returning a land back to their hand, and that's only your opponent's, it's going to make it a fair game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to stress like this, it's a super cheap card. So like kind of tossing this out there, like 59 cents for just regular stuff. Like it's under $1 for every way that you could get it. And when we did our one spec for it, this should have been it for me. This card is a $5 to $10 card. This is something that should be in 15 to 20,000 decks. This is a crazy, crazy good card.
It's nice because at the very least you're replacing it with another draw.
Yeah.
You're tapping 2 and it's going in. And then whenever a land enters the battlefield, we're going to if that player had a land enter. So your fetch lands are getting screwed with that.
They got to wait a turn.
Yeah. So, this, I dig it.
Any of that ramp,
How many decks did you say? 4,000 something?
It's 3,446.
Okay.
So, but the card is bonkers good.
I like it.
So, and again, like going with like if you're forcing players to do land like with New Frontiers, or there are other cards that are like, hey, everybody go and get 2 land into play, Veteran Explorer, stuff like that.
You take advantage of it, and and they
so
don't.
you can abuse that in certain decks as well. And so they're like, oh, no, I'm not gonna, because it just goes back to my hand, or yeah, sure I will, but whatever, just land a hand. So this card makes it a fair game for everybody else, and if you're ramping, you just get so far ahead. Like it's so good. So good.
Sweet. All right. My
do you
last card is actually one that somebody pointed out in the Discord when reserve list, again, as a reserve list card, was kind of going crazy. This one never went crazy, but I'm surprised it hasn't. But it's Koskun Falls. It's 2 and 2 black for an enchantment, enchant world, whatever. There can only be one of those in play at a time. That's what that means there.
Whoa.
At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice it unless you tap an untapped creature you control. It's basically a ghostly prison with black. So its creatures can't attack you unless its controller plays 2 for each creature that is attacking you. So it's ghostly prison propaganda on a black card. One more, a little more expensive, has a little bit of the upkeep thing, but you just tap a creature and you're fine. This is almost at 1,000. It's 878 decks. Just seems like something that you could play. If people love playing your ghostlies, love playing your attacks on people attacking you. So I'm surprised that this one isn't in more decks, but it is reserve list, old card, just under $15
is it?
At this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and that blows my mind because like Ghostly Prison and
propaganda
are like everywhere.
Yeah.
They're in
So-
every deck. So like this not being considered and being in under 1,000 decks is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So yeah, check out all those 10 cards. We will have another 10 for you guys next week. Even better.
We'll
next
have
week,
all this in the
right?
notes down below if you want to check it out. If we talk too fast, too slow, and you got bored, whatever, just check out the notes underneath.
All right. So, let's get into the next topic.
I'm making out with my mustache.
You're making out with your mustache?
Yeah.
That's my all right.
No, that's the stalling.
So, Jumpstart Historic Horizons has been being leaked over the last 2 weeks. We haven't.
They're just fucking mashing like set names together.
Jumpstart.
Jumpstart Historic Horizons.
Horizons Mystical Archive Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, so this is a set that's just for Arena. So, I mean, a lot of you probably do play Arena. Why
are we talking about it?
So, the reason why we're bringing this up is it kind of bugs me because they have things that they're doing with this that they're only making for Arena because obviously they only work for Arena. But there's one thing in here that I'm kind of agitated that they aren't going to bring to paper because they've said they're not going to bring it to paper. I think by when I say they, it's not who is it? The one of the what's his name? Sheldon. Sheldon is the one that's saying that these aren't going to go anywhere else. So the 3 things we want to talk about is
no. The announcement is that these are Arena only cards.
But he made it sound specifically like obviously the first 2 we talk about, there's no possible way you can make this work in cards. The third one, on the other hand, I think you can make work. So, what were you going to say?
I think it'd have to be called something else.
For sure.
But yeah, let's get to it.
So the first thing is Seek. Now, what that is you play a card and it has Seek on it and says whatever, when you cast this card, Seek an elf card. So what it does, it's pulling from Hearthstone. Hearthstone does a very similar thing where it pulls a random card. Sometimes it's either from your deck or sometimes it's from a batch of cards that they have selected, and it just pulls it from your deck or wherever, and it goes into your hand or into play, depending on what the card does. You can't do that with paper because you're tutoring. What it's doing is it's not changing your deck.
Pull out all of the cards from your deck, randomly select it, shuffle it back in as.
But that's the thing is it doesn't shuffle your deck. It just because I think that's part of the thing is it grabs it and then your deck stays the same. So if you've tutored the top or arranged the top, it stays in the same order because it's just randomly pulling it out. So that just doesn't work. That it doesn't work for card. You have to search through your deck.
Makes sense to be online only.
Right. Perpetually is another mechanic where let's say you cast a card and it says this creature gains 1+1 counter, and a random card in your creature in your hand gains a 1+1 counter. You can't do that because there's no way you can put a 1/1 counter unless you're using little stickers or something in your hand, which you don't want to.
You mean +1/+0? That was the example that I've seen. Not a 1 like a 1/1 counter. Just It's just a 1/1 counter, right?
But here's what I'm just saying in general. Yeah, it's a 1/1 counter, but the thing is you can't distinguish that in your hand. When you're playing digitally in Arena, it changes the code on, your, let's say you had a Llanowar Elves in your hand. It makes alters to the card in your hand. So sometimes it gives.
Sure.
I think the one I saw was like,
okay,
your creature gains Forest Walk and a card in your hand Forest Walk. The reason why you can't do that with cards is because you could say this card is, but they don't know what your card is in your hand unless you reveal it. And so that's the point of it. It's also another like Hearthstone and what was the other game that I played? I tried to remember it was before the cast and I can't remember. There's another app game that I don't think is still alive, but it did a similar thing where it would manipulate your cards in your hand before you cast them, and then when you cast them, it kept that. So that's what Perpetually does. It can alter things that.
But okay, so we already have cards that are perpetually, to a degree. You have cards that adjust their power, like Lurgoyf. I'm pretty sure, or even Tarmogoyf, is always checking what is in the graveyard for its power and toughness.
But the problem with Perpetually is just, it's not even an example I'm showing you here. I'm just telling you like a card that would come into play. Let's say it's an elf. And it says, when it comes into play, put a 1/1 counter on this elf and one creature in your hand. You can't show people, unless you have something you're sticking on that card to be like, this card here is the one that's getting a 1/1 counter when I cast it. There's no way that you can have that. So it gains.
I haven't seen that card, so that I guess makes it more likely. But the ones I have seen that say, like the Sarkon Planeswalker that has Perpetually, like. The Planeswalker is just an emblem that they didn't want to say emblem on. That one doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
and then like there's a green creature that says like perpetually this card gets +1/+0. I'm like, that's either a counter or also an emblem specifically to that creature.
Yeah, the ones that I saw one that was this creature gains Forest Walk and a creature from your hand gains Forest Walk.
Okay.
So
that makes more sense, like on a technical level of like not being able to do it in paper.
Yeah, because unless you're going to give us stickers, which who wants to put stickers on cards? I don't
want to put stickers.
So those two don't matter. I understand it. That's a Hearthstone. That's other games. That's app game stuff. That's arena type thing. The one that I think should be brought to paper, and we'll get around the reserve list stuff. We'll get it so we can start playing with dual lands, is Conjure. What Conjure does is I'll read it. What it says verbatim here is Conjure creates cards out of thin air as a digital object that acts like a normal card would. Powerful spells and artifacts can conjure up iconic, powerful, or just plain useful cards from Tropical Island and Stormfront Pegasus to Ponder and more. We joked about it before. It's like, why
they're trying to sell us on that? They snuck in the Stormfront Pegasus. Like, what the fuck? I had to look up that card. I was like, what the fuck is that?
It's a garbage card. But Tropical Island is in there. So there's a card that when it comes into play, you can conjure a Tropical Island to your hand. That just seems like we already have Garth, which was awesome that they did that, but it's making token copies of it. We had a little bit of a discussion on Discord, and number two and I kind of were going back and forth, and I was just like, okay, Garth should have had tokens that came with it. Like, we made proxies, whatever, for
but
Black
it's
Lotus.
not making I actually pulled up Garth because I knew we were going to go
there.
there.
It's not making a token. You're actually getting that card. So it's not you don't get the doubling season effect.
Conjure is the card literally goes into your hand, right?
Right.
And Garth is just making a copy of those cards. It doesn't even state token.
No, it's not.
It says you're making a copy, but you're not getting that card either.
Right.
I don't think I ever realized that.
So that's what I'm curious about is, what did Wizards expect us to do with Garth?
So I don't know what
Like,
I don't know what the difference is.
we're supposed to make proxies. Like, how else are you supposed to represent? I guess I'm supposed to have that Black Lotus on hand so that I'm actually making that card. Like, what are you supposed
But it's not even stating that card. Conjure makes more sense to be that card.
Yeah. But what I'm saying was,
This isn't even...
I was confused why Garth didn't come, like, why they didn't create, and I'm going to say token, but it's not actually token because you have emblems. Those aren't tokens. Those are emblems, you know, for planeswalkers and everything like that. They could have made a reminder card that represented Black Lotus or Shivan Dragon or, you know, all the other ones on Garth. And why not do the same here when you're conjuring something? Maybe you have a Llanowar elves type thing where it's 1 green and 2 colorless, and when it comes into play, you conjure a tropical island to your hand. You know, why not have that token? Everybody knows what that card is. I guess you can't, if you're playing sleeves, that might be the problem, but you're playing this in Commander. Why?
So I think now that we're discussing this, I probably have more of a problem with Garth
than the Conjure.
Than the Conjure. Because Conjure, like, makes sense. Like, it's creating the card online. You're just not going to be able to have these, like, they're not expecting you to own a tropical island, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you did that in real life, that would kind of suck.
Yeah.
Because it's not saying a token. But Garth is kind of problematic because it's not specifying a token or a card. So what is it?
Yeah.
And I don't know what these cards are other than copies of cards that aren't tokens.
Yeah, I think that's what they're supposed to be. I mean,
then when they come into play, they are cards, but not with the card.
Yeah.
I should probably read the rulings on this.
So, I think, and I'm not saying they're not going to do this. I just think this is a great opportunity to...
Oh, no. Okay. So it does say they are tokens when they enter the battlefield.
What are tokens?
For Garth. So it's not specifying that it's creating a token. It's specifying that it's creating a copy of it, and when you cast them, they become tokens.
So then doubling season would take effect on those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So reading the ruling, resolving copies of permanent spells become tokens as they enter the battlefield. These tokens are not considered created when this happens.
So that's another funny thing is, in our discussion on Discord, I might be wrong with this, but I think we were talking about that they weren't tokens and why they couldn't, that's why they didn't make them for Garth. And I'm like, who cares? They don't need to have token in the name, but even more so, they are tokens in a way. It should be, we should have a Black Lotus token.
But they are tokens.
Yeah, we should have a Black Lotus token. We should have a Shivan Dragon token, but they didn't provide that, which is really weird to me that they didn't do that. And so I guess my whole point of this discussion is that this is an opportunity. This is a way to make everybody happy. It makes the collectors happy that they're not taking away the reserve list, which they're not going to do, and that their cards still stay, you know, I have those cards, you have those cards, that they're going to still stay with their value. But it's also allowing us to play with cards that can create a tropical island and that they just provide a token. Or we play with proxies. You know, this is like, that's the opportunity to do there. This seems so doable to do this. And I think, I'm hoping that this is just their like test to see how this works with Arena, and that they bring something like Conjure, since they've already made Garth, something like that to Commander, and bring all the dual lands, all the things that people want in Commander. So that was I guess it could have been a grinds my gears, but it's not really grinds my gears. It it just seems like something that they can do here.
It's a gateway into cheating on the reserve list.
Yeah. And I mean, we obviously have a huge poll because we got Dockside Extort.
We got Hull Breacher.
Hull Breacher, sorry.
We got Hull Breacher
banned from our tournament. So I'm hoping, just please, that you're hearing this, Wizards. And we have a lot of poll on it.
We don't. We don't. So I think, you know, Conjure, I think, is, if we want to bring this to paper, it has to be more like Garth. And, you know, clearly they were trying to figure out ways on how to make it work. Like, Garth just gets one card, see how it works in paper, see how people are happy about it, not whatever. And I think it went over pretty smooth, and like people were happy with it. And so I think they could do more of that idea.
Oh, really quick,
and
while
Conjure,
you're burping and everything.
Yeah, sorry.
One thing I mentioned earlier, and that I want to kind of correct myself a little bit, is on Arena, when you reveal a card and then it goes back into your hand, you still see where that card is in their hand. Like it faces
that's
you.
true.
So it doesn't even matter that in Commander or paper that the back of the card is just going to have advertisement, that's the tropical island. Who cares? Because they already do that in Arena anyways. So it's just, you're adding a token to your hand. You're adding a, not token. They could just erase it saying token, because you already have, the casting cost on it, but you have the advertisement on the back. So it's not a real card.
Yeah, but that's not how, like, you would have to functionally change how tokens work, because tokens only work on the battlefield.
What do you mean?
Like, when a token goes to the graveyard, it hits, it triggers everything, and then it absolutely goes away.
Disappears. Yeah.
Same thing with your hand. And so, like, tokens only exist on the battlefield. So if you are bringing a token conjured into your hand, you would have to change those rules or call it something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we don't have to call it a card, and it doesn't have to be a token. It can be something. You know what I mean? I'm not smart.
I don't know how you spell that.
BLAGHHHGH. I don't know. So I mean, but it does. I mean, the card, calling it a card into hand. Are you, because that's the other question, is like, I don't know the rules on, like, can you have something other than a card in your hand? Right? Like, everything that's in your hand would be considered a card.
Well, they're obviously doing this with Arena.
Yeah, it's a card going to your hand.
Right.
And so you can't just conjure a card out of thin air in real life. I think that's their point.
Well, no, if you have cards that have, let's just use Conjure as the thing. If you have a card that conjures a tropical island to your hand, you would have that on with your tokens on the side, right? You just keep it in your stuff. You have it with, like we do, is like, oh, I have this deck and it makes this token, this token, this token. That's just in your pile. So when you play this card, that tropical island goes to your hand. And everybody knows the tropical. It just seems very doable. You just
yeah. And I think Garth is the perfect example that it feels like they were coming up with Conjure, and somebody's like, "We're not doing this in paper."
Yeah.
They're like, no, this is online. And they're like, "I'm gonna do this in paper."
Yeah.
And then they made one card that did fantastic, cool stuff, and people loved it. And
they made it 5 colors, so it made it a little more difficult, because it is making a token. That can be very broken. I didn't realize they were making tokens, which I probably did at one point.
For the permanents that come into play.
Right.
The other cool thing that I like reading through the rulings here, you must pay the cost of the chosen card, but the copy as the ability resolves, which may not be the time that you could normally cast that card. So you could cast a Shivan Dragon at instant speed at the ability.
Oh, you're saying with Garth what his stuff does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, with Garth. So that's kind of cool. I didn't think of it that way either, where you can be like, you're attacking me, tap, pay 6, Shivan Dragon, block. So you could do that. And so you can like hold up mana for counter spells and stuff like that, or just like tap Black Lotus.
Yeah.
At whatever you're activating. So I find that kind of cool as well. And I think I would prefer Garth's way of doing it.
Yeah. Doesn't it feel like it'd be more broken though, making tokens? I guess that's all we're built with Commander.
Yeah, who
as
cares?
long as Commander.
Who cares?
And that's the thing is,
I don't want it to happen a ton either.
Yeah. But make it a Commander product. Make this like a Commander ability. But I think this is totally something you can do, and you're gonna make everybody happy. Although there's a bunch of whiners in Magic, so you're probably gonna piss off a lot of people.
No,
too.
you'll definitely piss off a loud buzzing hornet nest under the ground
that'll
between
sting
fences
Lowry's
under a bush,
haunches and
make me swell, and they're
you bastards.
assholes.
I don't know. I just think I'm hoping that this happens. I mean, I'm fine. I have shit. Let's get the old good for you up. Okay. I have, and you have your dual lands.
I do.
Good for you.
But this would be a fantastic way to bring the dual lands in to everybody and make it a little more taxing. You're having to cast something that brings a land instead of searching your library for whatever basic land or a forest or whatever. This just conjures this or makes a token copy into your hand. Like it seems like something you can totally do here.
So, okay, going off in the hypothetical now, would you prefer, because what they have is like 1 mana merfolk comes into play, conjure Tropical Island into your hand. I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
I think that's the one that, yeah.
Do you want that, but being able to do it with multiple different cards? Or would you rather have something like Garth, where it's 1 card that can essentially conjure 5 different cards?
Personally, to make it more usable for everybody, you have, if you're doing the dual lands, you have it for, so instead of the 1 blue creating the tropical island, I think it's a 1 blue, 1 green. So it fits your tropical island. You know, it's a merfolk that's 1 green and 1 blue, and then you get to make a tropical island in your hand. Something that fits all the colors, but it is just that's all the card does. I'd rather have that because then people are going to play all of those. It's going to be your dual lands with your dual creatures or dual land creatures.
What about if you did something like, okay, so again, going into hypotheticals even further. So instead of like a 1 blue merfolk, it's a blue-green merfolk. When it comes into play, create a treasure or a tropical island land token. And then you could do that for each color combo.
That's
where
what
it's
I'm
just
saying.
like,
yeah, each color.
Yeah, that's
Boom.
what I think. And like maybe it's like if you didn't have a land come into play this turn,
just add a little stipulation to it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably how I would make it. And then you can play a land afterwards, but maybe it counts as your land drop.
I'd love that.
I think that's something that would be really
fantastic.
cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because not only you're paying 2 to do that, you're getting a token, like the Garth thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You wanted it as a land token?
Yeah.
So you could abuse that. You could have your doubling seasons out. Green is going to have a little bit more, or you're doing your Panharmonicon, so you're doubling your enter ETB triggers. Like there's things you can do to get more of that, but you're working. It's what you do in Commander, and everybody gets the dual lands, and everybody's happy.
Okay, so the next question I would have about this is a conjured tropical island that's not nearly as good as one in your deck. You can't fetch.
Right. But you can
that's
fetch
a
that
big
creature.
Thing. You can fetch that creature.
That would
but
create that as well. If you're able to get that creature into play, it not only do you get the creature in, boom, you get your tropical island. You flicker the creature, it does it again. You flicker the creature, it does it again. If you have it so it's an ETB type thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's probably have to be on cast then if you're doing
so you don't
like
abuse it.
yeah. Trying to make it fair but like to me maybe the conjure part of creating tropical island is hype.
Mm-hmm.
Like is a tropical island very different from like a hinterland harbor when you can't fetch it?
Right.
And so it feels like a little bit of hype where it's like, oh, that's really cool. But the great thing about duels is not being able to being able to fetch it for no damage, no
and all that stuff with it.
Just like turn 1 tropical island.
Would you play with these if they made these? Let's say it's the nicest, the easiest everything. So you have the ETB triggers and all that. Would you play with these as your creates a token? Yeah, I would totally.
Just think about just like
how
if I'm able to Essex this and like just get a ton of tropical islands on it. Yeah,
there's some abuse stuff that you can do that. Yeah,
blockers.
Yeah, no, I think they should do this, and then I'm hoping that the arena stuff is just the test. I don't know what they're testing, but they're like, hey, we can do this. Actually, I think Garth was the test. That's what I'm hoping is Garth was our test.
I think so. But and I think practicality wise, like it's not something that I want to have happen a whole ton. And that's why like I like what you're saying about the lands, but just like in general, I don't want like pay 3, a 2/1 flyer, and it's a Hunter of the Night, and then you get to conjure a terror into your hand, or that's just a kicker spell, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like maybe a little bit better timed, but it just, I don't want those individually to happen. I think I like it tacked on to Garth that way, how they built it mechanically. Like, I don't want to see it a whole ton.
We just need to see it once. Actually, 10 times.
10 times.
All the lands.
Do it for
all the duels. And that's all you
And
gotta
even
do.
now, talking about it, like, there's no way that they're going to have it be 2 mana. It'd have to at least be 3 mana. Because, like, there are very little creatures that cost 2 mana to put a land into play.
Well, they're doing it in Arena for 1-drops.
But it goes into their hand, not into play. But you couldn't do that per se in real life.
Okay, I don't want to make this episode any longer because we got a second episode to do here. But really quick, why couldn't it go into your hand? Why couldn't we make a rule with that this goes into your hand?
Special rule: put a token into your hand.
Right.
Because I think you'd have to down like you'd have to put a tropical island from your sideboard into your hand. That would end up having to be how you'd have to do it. Like I don't think you could technically create a token.
What if they didn't call it a token? Like you said, they called it a.
Yeah, they'd have to come up with some type of wording that would like work within the mechanics of the game, and I don't know what that would be. Or you have like a special zone like they have with Adventure, or with the Ikoria non-commanders, whatever they were. Like if you had these cards in a champions. If you created a special zone for them, maybe that could work.
Yeah.
So like this comes into play, and you can now you can now access
the dual zone.
The dual zone. Dual zone.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
seems like a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. Heart of the cards, the duel.
That might be how you deal with it, is saying it's not in your hand, but it's in a special zone, and now as long as this card is in play, you can now utilize that zone.
Oh, the people that have
might be how
the mats that are specially made. There's like the command zone, and then now you have the adventure zone, and then you're gonna have the duel zone. We're gonna have the
adventure zone,
champion zone. Yeah, there's just all these zones.
I think that's how it is.
I just want this done. I want this done. I want it done. All right. Well, that is probably it, right? We're done because we got another episode here. All right. So
we've rambled long enough.
All right. Well, that should do it for this week. We will catch you guys next week with more of the the underplayed cards and some other stuff we're going to talk about. So that'll do it, guys. We'll catch you next week. See ya.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Sega, damn it, I pressed everything wrong. I forgot the cheers at the end.
Cheers. Oh, we don't do it now? No, cheers you. Cheers you.
We have another episode to do after this. Damn it.